We're just saying as we're watching a few of the players going through their paces out there, there seems to be a real kind of buzz around the place. How much of a difference does winning a game and going a couple of games unbeaten after a sticky patch make?
Yeah, I mean, you know, the lads who were injured are trying their best to get fit enough to play some part of the rest of the season, which is good. And you know, the medical staff do well with them. I think just getting a win again, having such a heavy defeat, gives you everyone a bit of a lift, a bit of confidence. Definitely the clean sheet last week as well helped. But you've just got to embrace every game you play and enjoy it, and give it your best shot, and that's what we try and do.
Is it just a human nature thing that you enjoy being part of success more than you do being part of things that you're not at all?
Yeah, I think that's part of the course, and I think, you know, human nature, you know, you want to enjoy what you're doing, and you enjoy things more when you're successful. And anybody who says that they enjoy losing or they enjoy, I don't know, bad times, I don't get it, mate. I just don't see it. I think there's a certain element of pride in overcoming adversity and being able to do that, but you wouldn't want to be doing it all the while. You don't want to be fighting all your life.
Is that something that motivates your approach when times aren't so good? When you do have a really heavy defeat like you did at Peterborough, you weren't too harsh in your criticism, you weren't too reactionary in what you said afterwards. Is it to try and maintain that spirit and that enjoyment, for want of a better word?
I think you have, and you know we're still lucky to be involved in what we are. You know, it's a wonderful industry to be in. It can be a cruel industry at times, but you know, it's a great job to be doing, and the lads should enjoy it as long as they can, and hopefully someone will go on to have longer careers and spend more time on football in whatever aspect they choose to go down.
I know you've said loads of times in the past it's not a holiday camp, but it is important that they look forward to coming into work and that they enjoy it. Is that something that would be the case if you were still a teacher or doing something else? Would you still value that sort of enjoying working?
Yeah, and you know, that's something that I did using my teaching away. I believe that people learn better when they're enthused, when they're enjoying what they're doing and when they're enthusiastic about what they're doing. And I think in any walk of life that should ring true. But I think sometimes you've got to have gone through a bit of bad times to enjoy the good times. And you know, when we get the new training ground, we'll be made up with it. But you know, lads who've come through academies with all singing and dancing facilities probably won't appreciate as much what we will. It's all perception, I suppose. And one man's meat is always another man's poison.
Are your players good students? Are they keen to learn? Are they keen to improve every day?
I think the majority are, yeah. You know, we analyse what we do. We're trying to always improve. We've got a great set of lads. I've said this, I know I've been banging this drum all season, but they're great. How hard they work, their appetite they show for football is fantastic. And I think there is a lot of them who want to improve themselves in. And you can see the improvement in some of them already.
Not necessarily in terms of on the pitch and winning games, but is this, because you've said it quite a few times, is this the best group, the best character-wise that you've had?
Yeah, I don't like terming them as group, because I think then you should be in a musical ensemble. You should be playing instruments, singing. It's a squad of players, and they've been really good. Really impressed with their attitude, the willingness to take things on board. You know, how much they work hard for the team, and you don't often hear too many complaints.
Do they almost kind of keep each other in line and police themselves? Have you got the senior guys in there who sort of set the tone? Yeah,
that's what we try and do, and you know, I think in the main they do well. You know, Mark, Seamus, Sean. They are probably the mainstay, the ones who will not so much lean on the other players, Knots as well. But they've all got different personalities, and it's a good blend.
Are those experienced players as important off the pitch as they are on the pitch? Because we've seen the impact that they've had in recent weeks on the games.
Yeah, I think so. And I think just the experience they've been through a lot of adversity themselves in the games that we've played at Accrington. It's part of the course that at some point you do go through some bad times at Accrington. But there's been plenty of good times, and we're always trying to enhance them experiences, try and have better times and better times and better times, and you can only do that by hard work and maybe a little bit of luck now and again.
You've been keen to stress in recent weeks, through the good times and the bad, that you don't want the season to kind of peter out and become that horrible nothing to play for phrase, which I know you and I both don't agree with. But is it good that you've won the last game, you've kept a clean sheet in the previous one, and you're still in touch?
Well, I think it does. It extends the season, and once you are out of the playoff race with no fans, there really is not to play for. It's different when you're playing for your fans and for the pride and that. All you're now playing for is trying to get as many points on the board if you're not involved in that hunt. So we want to prolong our season for as long as we can, the interest in our season, and we'll only do that by winning games.
Is it for you to keep that interest going for yourselves? Because you look at the fixtures and I think potentially every opponent could be either in the mix at the top end of the table or the bottom end.
Yeah, and they're probably the best games to play in. Historically, we've played better against the better teams. I think 5 of the remaining games are against teams who are above us. So, I'm looking forward to each game we play, but I've always been like that.
And I guess on two fronts that's interesting, because you can have an impact on other teams who are up there, but I guess it's the old 6-pointer thing, isn't it, that you can take points from them and get closer to them? Yeah,
there'll be a few of them, and I'd love to be in it the last week of the season. I'd love to be involved in the last week of the season. That'll be great. 3 cracking games and a lot to play for, and that's got to be our goal, and hopefully we'll get there.
In the other end of the table, AFC Wimbledon this weekend, if my rudimentary maths is right, I think you are mathematically guaranteed League One football next season with a point this weekend. I could be wrong, I only had a quick look at the table, but is that a nice thing to be able to think about, the fact that you can plan for next season in League One and there's still an outside chance it could be better?
I suppose it is, but I haven't given it too much thought, to be honest. I've done my own work on Wimbledon. I know that they're better than what the results have suggested. They don't often, they haven't been beaten 7 though, sure. So they generally lose by the odd goal, and they've been quite unlucky in games for the Boston. And they've played some good football, and it'll be a tough game Saturday, as every game will be, and I say this every week, so I sound like a broken record. But I think Wimbledon are capable of putting a run together to stay up. Just hopefully it doesn't start with us on Saturday.
What does it say about perhaps a switch in your mindset, that I think a lot of Stanley fans and a lot of people around the place would go, we'll get to 50 points and that's our target, and we want to make sure we're in the league next season, and you're not even really aware of that now?
Oh, I mean, to be honest, we had such a good run in the middle of part of the season that I think that probably allayed any of them fears. And then from then on we've been looking up. Obviously you are aware that you can't go into free fall, and thankfully we haven't gone into one of them horrendous runs, and hopefully we won't between now and the end of the season. But if you start getting carried away looking too far ahead, you take your eye off the ball, and we can't really look any further than Wimbledon, and that's what we will do. We'll concentrate on this game, and if we can get that right, then we move on to the next game.
How encouraging is it to see those 4 out there, Pritchard, Sykes, Owakwe and Ben Barkley, all doing a little bit on the pitch?
Yeah, good, and I think they are capable of being involved between now and the end of the season, and who knows, they might be wanting to don the boots for Wembley.
And just on the wider injuries point, does it feel like the clouds are lifting a little bit?
To be honest, like, if you let it get you down, it will get you down. I've tried not to focus too much on it, to be honest. It's an easy excuse when things aren't going well. Don't really want to make excuses, there's lots of different facets in the game and lots of different reasons why you don't win games and why you win games. And if you're always looking for a reason, an external factor that stops you doing what you're doing, you're not really focusing on your own development, on your own self-development and your own team's development. So I think there's some times when excuses are quite valid. You know, no one knows more than me how many horrendous decisions we've had against us this season. But if you're constantly using that as an excuse, and every time you lose, there's a reason why that wasn't your fault, it's an external factor, you won't develop, you won't improve, and you'll stand still or go backwards. So we're trying to avoid that.
And have we ever had in nearly 20 years an interview with more background noise than this one?
Probably not.